On a previous video that I talked about treasury bonds, I made a video that I said everything that you need to know about treasury bonds. I promised that I would come back and talk about repaid bonds, or simply say what is different from new bonds. That is what I discussed in the other video, and what we call reopened treasury bonds. And it is something that is so common nowadays. The Central Bank of Kenya is not issuing new bonds, but focusing on reopened bonds. So that is what we are about to discuss. And in case you have not watched the other video about treasury bonds, I think you will have to first go back and watch so that you can relate to what I'm going to say, because I'm not going to repeat everything here, because this is what I discussed on the other video, so I'm not going to repeat, but you can simply get the video on treasury bonds on this channel. In fact, I will put the link on the first comment of this video. You can just go and watch before you come to watching this video on reopened treasury bonds, because in this video I'm just highlighting the small differences between the newly issued bonds and the reopened treasury bonds. And I'm going to use examples of two bonds. That is the FXD1 stroke 2018 stroke 2015. It cannot be like that. I'm sure I made a mistake somewhere. It cannot be stroke 2018 stroke 2015. So it must be 2018 stroke 15, if I'm not wrong. Sorry for that confusion, but let's confirm. Yeah, cannot be stroke 2018 stroke 2015. And if you watched my other video, you can know why I said that title must have been wrong. You can know the reason as to why I was able to identify that I wrote a wrong title. So the case study I'm going to use is the FXD1 stroke 2018 stroke 15 and the FXD1 stroke 2022 stroke 25. And interestingly, these boats are currently floated. They are currently floated, meaning they are currently on sale. Like these are the January deals. January 2025 deals that are currently floated. And I think they will be effected, I think, around on the 15th of January. But we'll do another video detailing that. So in the other video of where I explained matters treasury bonds, I'm not going to repeat on definition because the meaning of newly reopened bonds and reopened bonds, they are the same. New bonds, reopened bonds, the definition is the same, the concept is the same, the risk is the same, the return is the same. So I'm not going to repeat about that. For the title, I can just mention, and I had mentioned the other time, you see we are in 2025, but the bonds that are currently floated have titles with previous years. This is a clear indicator that these bonds are reopening. This bond was issued in 2018, this was issued in 2022. Now, the time to maturity, you see, the time to maturity for this first bond here, we said this is the part that gives us the time to maturity. And you can see that this bond was issued in 2015, in 2018 for 15 years. But we are in 2025, meaning about 7 years has elapsed. The bond was issued in 2018 with a time to maturity of 15 years, but the bond has been reopened in 2025. And it means that about 7 years has elapsed between now and the year the bond was issued. So the bond is no longer has no longer does not have a time to maturity of 15 years, but rather the time remaining to maturity is 8.5 years. So that is a change. The other bond was issued in 2022, but we are in 2025. So nearly 3 years has elapsed. So it means that the time remaining is about 22.3 years. So this is the new time to maturity of the bond. That is one of the small differences. I think I'm done with that. Coupon rate, I won't repeat it. Is the same. Period of sale is the same. Period of the same. Value date is the same. I will mention something about the amounts. That is where we are going to deal. And coupon payment is the same. Redemption structure, taxation, and the bidding process. All these are the same. No? My main focus in this video is to explain about something that I can refer to as pricing. In fact, it has nothing to do with the minimum amount, because the minimum amount does not change. The minimum amount is 50,000, and any additional amount should be a multiple of 50,000. So, but my main interest for reopened bonds is something that we call pricing. Pricing. When it comes to reopened bonds, this is an issue that might cause a lot of confusion among many people. And when we are discussing about new bonds, we said that any amount we invest is either 50,000 or a multiple of 50,000. The same rule applies here. But you find that for new bonds, if I want to buy a unit of 50,000, I will send exactly 50,000 to Central Bank of Kenya. If I want to buy a unit of 100,000, this is the exact amount that I will send to Central Bank of Kenya. But when it comes to reopen the bonds, we have two different prices that come into place. And you find that you might not have to send exactly 50,000 or 100,000 or 150,000. You might find yourself sending 98,000. Or on the other side, you might find yourself sending 105,000. This is just an example. By 98,000, I mean an amount that is less than 100, and you can also send an amount that is greater than 100, sorry. So, when it comes to reopened bonds, we have two prices that you will hear being mentioned. You will hear something to do with clean price. Clean price. And you hear something to do with the dirty price. Those two prices comes into the picture. And when we mean clean, we are meaning ile clean ya usafi, and dirty we are meaning ile dirty ya uchafu. So, let's start dealing with this animal we call clean price. Clean price. Now, this is the price of the bond at that current time, that is determined by the coupon rate, which is fixed. Coupon rate which is fixed, and the market price at that particular time. So you find that these bonds that we get to purchase at 100, depending on the changing market conditions, the price of these bonds may either increase or decrease. But because you are not selling that bond at that particular time, the gain or the loss might not be realized. I hope we are clear that the prices of the bonds, even the bond that you already hold, changes, maybe on a daily basis or something. But because you are not selling that bond on that day, you don't get to realize the gain or the loss. So at the point these bonds are reopened, there is a clearing price, that is the exact price of the bond that has been determined by the market conditions at that particular time. That is what we call a clearing price. So you might find that a clearing price, a price of the bond, there are three different scenarios. For newly reopened bonds, the price will always be at something we call at par. At par, this is where if I want to invest 100,000, I will send 100,000. That is what we call at par. And when we talk about the price can also be discounted. Discounted. When we talk about discounted prices, it means that the price of the bond is less than 100,000. It might be 99,000. That is for someone investing 100. It might be 98, as low as 92, such. The price might also be at premium. At premium is where the price might be at 102,000, 105, 110, such. So this is the clearing price that is determined by the current market conditions. So I hope we are clear about clearing price. Now, before I talk about the dirty price, there is another animal that we need to talk about. There is another animal you will hear people call accrued interest. Accrued interest. The open bonds will have accrued interest. How does accrued interest come about? Let me use the example of the first bond here. That is the FXD1 stroke 2018 stroke 15. This is the example that I'm going to use to explain the concept of accrued interest. Now, this bond pays interest on May and November. May and November. This bond pays interest for those 2 months. It means that the last interest on this bond or the last coupon for this bond was paid in November. So, November. And the next coupon will be paid in May. We have those 2 months in picture. This is when the person who is holding the bond was paid interest in November. But when are you buying the bond? The auction is for January, so we will buy the bond somewhere in between here in January. And ideally, once you purchase a bond, you should receive interest after 6 months. After 6 months. And but we are buying the bond in January and we will receive our first coupon in May. So between January and May, 6 months will not be over. There will be about 5 or 4 months and a half from the point of purchase. But we will be paid full interest for the 6 months. That is the period between November and May. We will be paid interest for the 6 months in May. Because you cannot be paid half of the interest. You will be paid the full interest for the 6 months. But you bought the bond on January. So it means there is some interest here that does not belong to you, which you will be paid. I hope you get the idea. You will be paid the coupon in May, despite you having bought the bond in January, meaning 6 months will not be over. And you'll be paid interest for a period, for this whole period, between November and May. You'll be paid interest for this whole period, but your bond umenunulia hapa January. So, this part of interest belongs to you. But now, there is this other part of interest that does not belong to you. There's this other part that belongs to someone else, but niwe utaekewa. So what you do at the point of purchase hapa January, you have to pay for this interest that will be paid that is not yours. You have to pay for this interest, and this interest that you get to pay in advance because juu utakuja kuipata huku mbele, that is what we call accrued interest. And I hope my point is home. Let me repeat one last time. You'll be paid the interest in May, and you'll be paid the interest from November to May. But when you know your bond, January. It means that there is an interest between November and January that does not belong to you, but niwe utaekewa in May. That is that is in May. So this interest between November and January, you pay for it at the point of buying the bond, juu utakuja kulipa huko mbele na si yako. I'm sure by this point it's clear now. So that is what we call accrued interest. And so what we come about getting the dirty price. So dirty price, the dirty price is given by the clean price, plus the accrued interest. And that is why I had to explain what is accrued interest before coming to dirty price. So the dirty price is simply a combination of the clean price and accrued interest. And it is the dirty price that you will pay at the point of purchase of that particular bond. Now, to bring the point home of the pricing of the reopened bonds, let's now look at the pricing of these two bonds that have been reopened in this January of 2025. I think that will bring the point more home. We see that this entire information is found in a document that we call prospectus. So there is a prospectus for these two bonds, and there is a page that gives what we call as the yield. We say that there is a yield that is determined by the current market conditions, and it is the yield that keeps on changing, and therefore the clean price keeps on changing. So even the Central Bank of Kenya does not know by the time of effecting these bonds, after the bidding has been done, what will be the yield, and so they do not have a clean picture of what will be the clean price of that bond. But so what they do is that they give a list of possible yields and the corresponding clean prices. And from my observation in the past few bonds that I have been following, the amount that they quote down there is something they call important information. I will pin this picture on this video. The amount that they use as an example down there, the clean price of that bond will not go far from that particular price that they get to quote. So it is that price that we will assume that will come into effect. And so we have two bonds. we will use the two examples, the FXD1 stroke 2018 stroke 15. When we have the FXD1 stroke 2022 stroke 25. So for the first bond, they are saying the bond attracts accrued interest of Kenya shillings 2.1894 per 100. So for this bond, the accrued interest is equals to 2.1894 per Kenya shillings 100. And so they give an example. So if the quoted yield is 13%, the clean price will be 98.2061. So given a yield of 13%, the probable clean price of this bond will be 98.2061. That is the clean price. So what will be the dirty price of this particular bond? The dirty price will be 98.2061. That is the clean price. You add the accrued interest, that is 2.1894, and this will give us 100.3955. And we are to categorize this price either at par, at a premium, or at a discount. This price is at par. No, this price is at a premium because we are paying more than 100, though just slightly. We are not paying exactly 100, but we are paying slightly higher than 100. For the other bond, the price this bond attract an accrued interest of 3.5470 with a probable yield of 14%. The clean price is likely to be 101.2211. So what is the dirty price? The dirty price will be 101.2211 plus 3.5470. So this will be around 104.7681. What it means is that we have said that the price that you get to pay is the dirty price. So be prepared that if you place a bid of 100,000 on this particular bond, and your bid is successful, you will not pay 100,000 to the Central Bank of Kenya. You will pay 100,395 shillings to the Central Bank of Kenya. The same, if you place a bid on this particular bond for 100,000 and your bid is successful, you will not pay 100,000 to the Central Bank of Kenya. You will have to pay 104,768. So because that will be the dirty price of that particular bond of the amount that you want. You will not pay 100,000, but you will send 104,768 shillings. And you can see the accrued interest is different for the two bonds. This accrued interest amount is determined by one, the amount of coupon that is paid for that bond, and two, the amount that is paid, the period, I would say, the length of the interest, the length at which that interest has accrued, I had used the example of the first bond when explaining the accrued interest. Huh? So let's see. We said that last interest was paid in November, and the next will be paid in May, and we bought the bond at January. So the accrued interest that we are paying for is let's say 2 months. Is for 2 months. Huh? Because November to January is 2 months. Huh? And for this other one, the bond was the last coupon was paid in October, and so the next one will be paid in April. April. We bought the bond at January. So the accrued interest we are talking about is the interest between October and January. These are 3 months. Yes, 3 months. Let's say 3 months. Huh? So you see, this period is longer, therefore the accrued interest is more. This period is short, so the accrued interest is less. So I hope you get the concept of the pricing of reopened bonds. That is the major difference between new bonds and reopened bonds. So that is the whole concept. And sometimes it is good to check at the actual price that you have to pay, because when you come to when we come to check the coupon of these bonds, this bond is paying a coupon of 12.6500% per annum, and this other one is paying a coupon of 14.1880% per annum. For reopened bonds, don't always rush to bonds paying high coupon. This bond can be paying a coupon of 14%, but its price is so high. You can find another bond paying a lower coupon, but its price is a bit low. So if you do the real value of the money that you are going to get, you find that the bond with less interest coupon payment is more profitable. Like an example, you can find that one bond, I think for the deals that were opened in the month of December, there were 3 bonds, and there is a bond that had a lower interest rate, and if you sit down and do the real maths, you will find that it was giving better returns than another bond that had higher coupon, because you might find that these are just examples. A bond is paying a coupon of 11%, but it is selling at a discount, so you will pay around 92k. And you find another bond is paying an interest of 14%, and its price is so high that we are paying, the price is at a premium of maybe 110,000. So if you do the difference of this money, this is 18,000, which you might not be able to recover from the coupon payment. So for the reopened bonds, other than just checking the coupon payment, it is very important that you get to check on the dirty price of that particular bond. It might be so high that the high price drains the high interest. So, but that is the major thing that I wanted to discuss on reopened bonds, because it is the major difference between the new bonds and the reopened bond. And this is so crucial, because we have seen a trend that the Central Bank of Kenya is not issuing new bonds, but they are focused on reopened bonds. So it is important that if you are interested in investing in bonds, you get to understand this. So I hope it's clear. In case of any question or any clarification that you might need, just drop it there, and be sure that we'll get to respond to it. So hang around, more exciting videos are coming. See you in the next video.